Okay. You see this. This is the picture of this little girl and her father. This little girl, father died during this mass shooting observed in October of 2023. 18 people died. It was a mass shooting that happened in Maine. The man killed 18 people in two locations, and the man here that you see holding his baby girl was one of the victims. And I've talked about this before in the sense that I donated money. Made sure that I provided what I can with my limited amounts, to at least make sure that somehow I help out, and also to make a point. I know that the man who killed 18 people is a targeted individual. He was going through the same things that a lot of us target individuals go through. So my job was for this participant, for the people who involved themselves in this program, trying to paint all these fantasies of reality of what this program is really about. I will refuse to let them live this fantasy. Whatever is happening in their private life, and as I'm saying that they try to manipulate me in certain ways that I'm going to talk about this way, whatever reality they've put together, whatever ways they try to counter reality, whatever reality they try to ignore, this is the reality of what they're involved in. This man is not the first man who killed 8 people because he lost it. And if you need a refresher or a reminder of what happened, you will listen to exactly what happened there. And when you listen to what happened, you definitely hear the correlation with another mass shooting that happened, I think in 2012 or something like that, or 2014, I'm not sure, where 12 people died. And you hear the same stories. This is unfortunately what happens to some target individual, because you are pushed into a level of just anger and aggression that even some people who aren't aggressive individual by nature will even end up doing things that they won't do. For example, you're gonna hear this Myron May. This man is definitely not the most aggressive man, and he ended up trying to kill people in a mass shooting in a library at the university in Florida. And you can hear him praying before that happens. And this is not somebody who would have any of those. This will never happen unless it was pushed to that level. And so for me, donating money to this family is something that I wanted to make sure I do, because it's also a gesture to the people involved in the program that torture me, that come up with this fantasy what they're involved in, to just let them see themselves for what they're really part of. Now, they could be great parents, they could have children, but this is the program that you're involved in. This is the reality of what you're part of. And the delusionality of what they've created is just what they do. It's a creation. And if you're going to hear when you hear the testimonials, not even the testimonials, but when you hear what happened with this man who killed 18 people, you'll hear a very common thing done here. It's when they try to present these people as something they're not. When they implant persona, when they degrade, they regurgitate somebody, insult somebody in these disturbing ways using V2K. But cowards, human beings, they're very much cowards. And so, matter of fact, they even use childlike individuals, which you gotta understand. If they're using children or people who are like children to participate in the agitations in the V2K, you understand they're not looking for the bravest. You understand they're looking for people who can create a delusion of reality. And this childlike individuals, they really believe in their mind they're like some kind of warriors. They're at war. They're like kids who are that delusional. Obviously, this is obviously a program run by the government, and we're just test subjects. And the casualties and the whatever happens from that is part of the study. It's not even part of it. It's part of the program. It's part of this research development. They want to see how far it will take somebody to be aggressive, or this is part of what they want. They want this kind of reaction. They won't stop. For example, if I decided to go and be aggressive and do something harmful to somebody, they will not stop it. I know that. They will stop it after the fact is done because it's part of what they want. I know that if I decide to go and attack somebody and harm this person, they will not do anything about it until it's done, or after the act is done. Which, thank God, that never happened, and I will continue to pray to never get that level of anger, which is easy to acquire. You see who's talking to you, coming up with this like ways to agitate you. But you know what they're involved in, and you have all the justification that you need to see that person for somebody that is a foul human being, regardless of what you have going on outside of this. You involved yourself, and I'm talking about this purpose, involving in this program, in a program that does the foulest things you can imagine. Whatever fantasy they try to create, you see the reality of what they're truly part of. And they truly are agitating you and deluding themselves into this fantasy. And for me, for example, they tell me how they're going to frame me, they're going to do this. And it's almost like a way out for me if I wanted to go that route. It's like if I do something to this person, I'll do something harmful, and then I'll die immediately because they'll probably shoot me down. So if I looked at it in that way, I'll be like, actually, that's the best way out here. This will end quickly. Because what they're saying right now, they tell me how they're going to frame me. And once I'm going to be framed, these horrible things are going to happen. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'd rather die this way. I'd rather die in this horrible way than live a life where I work for entities that do these horrible things, that causes mass shooting, that torture even children and women. And now find proudness in framing and doing the foulness in these cowardly ways. They are living a life of this cowardly. Like, so thank you for giving me this honor and dignity. I've seen what bottom feeders are. I see what true cowardness is. I see truly for what they are. You know, as I'm saying, they're framing me. I'm like, they're saying that in this cowardly way, opening the door, they're framing you, and she closed the door in front of me. She couldn't even look at me. They used cowards. They use children to implement these things. This low life, if some of them are not all the way there. So I'm like, you know what? I will thank God give me strength to not do anything. I know I'll be justified. Somebody who tell you they'll be framing me, and I see them in my face. In any way, any other person with a minuscule amount of aggression will destroy it, will kill these people. And they will not talk about they were talking about some childlike trash, some weak low lives. So looking at this low life is like, you know what, God give me strength. Look at this bottom fears. Handle them the way you need to. This cowardly little nothings. Let this trash live the trashy way. Let them continue to live this way and see how things comes back. They delude themselves in this reality where they make themselves believe they're some femme fatale, fierce individual, when they coward low life that can even torture children. You're going to hear what they've done to women. You're going to hear what they do to children. You're going to hear the reality of what they do. And the reality of who's running this program, not these retarded people who live next to you. Whose job is to create a distorted reality, which they call their reality. The thing with me, the most disturbing part is they have created this fantasy of like, where's this femme fatale? And so imagine currently, a lot of young people are radical in the sense of like they're very progressive, and this is the type of psyop they're trying to present to me. First of all, I know who put me in this program. They are restricted to say a name of a man who allegedly was picking up kids as young as 14 years old. They can't even say his name without saying it in a way that's very hidden, very timid. And they have lived off what they can manipulate me to experience in my mind, which is obviously what these entities have been working on for years. And the entities that work on this program, oh my gosh, the issues that are ongoing there, you're going to hear it. So to counter the reality, because I donated money to this family, to do this, they start giving me these reactions, right? That's very pedophilia-centric. It's the typical things they do. And they make me have these reactions, which you're gonna hear. They can make you feel and give you like a way of just feeling like you, like, give you like a urge to do something, and you like, I stop it. Like, it's just like, oh, what's that? Try to make my hand grab myself and give me stimulations. The stimulation portion, I can do nothing about it. They can manipulate the arousals, and you're gonna hear that. But what I'm stopping is like them trying to do something with my hand. And immediately when they do that, it's like, no, what we're doing, right? We're mapping you. Saying that what they make me experiencing is something that I've experienced when I was a child, and try to talk about me as a kid in middle school. And of the dumb thing I did impulsively as a child once. As a stupid child in middle school. It's like, no, this is we're making you. It's like, no, you have manipulated my brain. They can literally make you do something. Like, you're gonna hear that everything they've done to me has been done systematically. Right? There's nothing unique to me. They can make you react a certain way. They can make you feel certain ways. They can make you feel all the stimulations. And then try to use these childlike people who have no self-respect, who in their mind creating this fantasy of them being this femme fatale. You see some weak low life. You're like, oh my gosh, I understand why you come up with this fantasy. It's like a child trying to create a fantasy to kind of cope. It's like a mechanism to cope with reality. Right? They tell themselves like, we're just warriors, and when in reality they know what they truly are. And this not only applies to children, grown women, grown men are involved in this. So when they make me experience this thing, they're like, I see this woman get online and this. And the reason why they make me feel this reaction is because they're trying to counter the fact that they are involved in a program that causes people to kill. And the result of them doing this killing is little girls like that will never have a father. Because trash like these losers are involved in a program that does these things. And now they're like, no, we're making you feel a reaction you felt as a child. First of all, do you understand why they contract children to push people into insanity? It's because this is the retardation they want you to start going with, rationalizing. What? You're making me be a child? No. Even when I was a child, I was not reacting to this. I was not reacting this way. But I'm a 30-some-year-old man. And you tell me that you're making me experience something I've experienced as a child. And they're like, no, but remember what you did to yourself. I was a kid who just learned how to do things to myself. This impulsive moment of a child is a child who just discovers something. I understand that you're trying to stop reality and to create distorted reality. In my mind, it's like, you see, impulsive. We're just bringing this impulsiveness back to you. So this is pathetic low life. No, you are manipulating me to experience this. I will not see a picture of a little baby like that and have stimulations or an impulse of grabbing myself. No. But today you can make me experience that. And me as a child, what I did is me just discovering myself and couldn't stop doing this thing to myself. And did it once, and that was it. The thing is, the sad part is, they're even so pathetic that they are trying to create a pattern of what I did as a kid because it only happened once. And because it only happened once, now they try to create this thing happening on multiple times. Even if you at least would have happened multiple times, then they'll be like, you see, that's an impulse. That's a moment, an impulsive moment of a child that never happened again, showing that how nothingness it meant. It meant I did something stupid as a child, didn't even think twice about it, never even thought again, and never happened ever again. But these people have done this peripheral type of torture systematically. And they do this peripheral type of torture. And today, as an adult, they are making me having these weird reactions where they want me to grab myself. I'm like, what's that? And I get stimulations. It's like, no, we mapped it to you as a kid. So now I'm a grown man. And when I was a kid, this is not how things happen. That's not how things will happen. I will not look at a child. Oh my gosh, I want to. But they make me imagine that. And make me believe that this makes sense. Like I said, the reason why they do this, the reason why they do these things, especially with this baby. Well, they do that all the time. They forced me since August 19, 2019. They've been forcing me to get some reaction that was pedophilia-centric. But today, Right now, the reason why they make me have this reaction toward this baby is because they want me to forget that this baby doesn't have a father, because this program caused a man to lose his mind to kill 18 people, which caused the life of this man. And this little girl will no longer have her baby, will no longer have her father. Meaning that this trash caused this misery, not even misery, but this sadness of a story for this baby. And so what they're trying to do is just try to make me accept. Now you see that feeling. It's like, yeah, of course you're gonna listen. They do the prefix type of torture. You're gonna even understand. You're gonna even hear how they can even manipulate you to almost feel like some people can almost make you want to slap yourself if you want to, if they want to. They at one point made me almost want me to cut my wrists. I was looking at a knife and I could feel like the feeling of like cutting my wrists. It's like, what's that feeling? Like literally wanting to grab a knife and cut my wrist. This is the things that can make you experience. And it's part of this program. But for this participant who wants to delude themselves that this is something else, because I donated money to this kid and her family, not only for the burial of the family, of the father, but also to help this child's future with my little money that I gave, so that she at least, her future looks okay, even though she doesn't have a father there. Well, this trash countered that by forcing me to get these nasty stimulations, this weird urge that they just forced me to have, stimulating me and try to make me grab myself and be like, no, we're just mapping you to you as a child. It's like, now you pay. First of all, listen to the nastiness that you have to do to try to counter what they've sold their soul to. They know that these things is happening because people are pushing target individuals in this level. So you understand what they have on their hands, like what the blood they have on their hand. They are participants of the death of this man, in the sense that they're involved in the same program that caused this. So this little girl will never have a father. And I was on the call when somebody was trying to make me feel like guilty for that feeling that they make me experience with this weird thing they were trying to make me experience. It's like, are you crazy? Is that the way to try to counter this reality? Never. And right now, you know what they're trying to say? Oh, you see, impulsiveness. And they're trying to make me think of, oh, you see, when you're a child, you had this impulsiveness or this moment of impulse where you did this to yourself. It's like, no, it's a kid who doesn't understand the concept of what he did at that moment. And he did something that he was doing all the time, thinking that was just like, oh. And when I mean did something, I did this thing all the time to myself. And that time, it was the wrong time to do this. I don't want to go into the details, but then they try to be like, oh, you see, that's how target individual and anybody who's listening to that. These people are manipulating you to counter the reality of what they're involved in. They are trash human beings responsible of the torture of even babies. And when they manipulate you and make you have these reactions, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop you from seeing things for what they are. These people who are proudly telling you they're framing you are involved in a program that has caused the death of a father to this baby. And today, to counter that, for me, when I look at this, she's so adorable. Her and her father is so sad, so adorable. The disgusting ways they make me look at this kid, in the way they make me perceive this child, the stimulations they force me to have. I was on the call. I made sure I look at the baby. I was like, I'm looking at this little girl. Whatever stimulation you make me have, whatever reaction you make me have, I know you manipulate me to have this. And guess what? I've been validated in ways that's unbelievable. Forget about me as a child doing some impulsive thing of a child and never having even thought about it again. A moment of a child. An impulsive moment of a child that never even happened ever again. While today as a grown man, And a grown adult, they try to emasculate me. Today as an adult, tell me what I'm experiencing is me as a middle school child. While you're going to hear the obvious manipulation they've been creating, forcing people to experience. For me, they try to make me have this pedophilia type of reaction where they want me to grab my genitals and stimulate me. They are stimulating me and try to get my hands to grab my genitals. It's like, no, you see what I'm happening? No, you are forcing me to have these nasty reactions. And then you tell me I was a kid? You're delusional trash. Everything I've said has been validated. And this is not the first mass shooting, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last mass shooting caused by a target individual who lost his mind. And you're going to hear, they were calling him a pedophile, while these bottom feeders do the pedophilia type of torture. And on top of that, we know who's running the show. The entities running the show has a consistency of being ranked top tier regarding not only child porn. We're talking about the Department of Defense. And for this low life, men, women involved in this program, some of them have their own children, will come and it's one thing to hear these retards, and I call them retards because they're children who literally make themselves even more of children, which is easy. You can forgive. No, you can't forgive them, but you can see that they're kids. They're mentally, it's like a child. You got to understand the concept. The children, they're easily influenceable. Right? They can go into their fantasy. That's what you see them as. But what they influence them to do is so foul, man. It's so disgusting. They even influencing them and coercing them to frame, saying that they're gonna say that I did something to them and some nastiness. Involved in a program where they know, and this is the most disgusting part. These kids are gonna be involving in the torturing other people, including children, including women. So they're being groomed to be these foul human beings. Cowards, but brave from afar. Oh, they're the brave. When you hear them via V2K, you think they're the bravest human beings. You see this bottom feeders, you see this low life. In 2 seconds, I can remind you how nothing you are. I'm not threatening. I'm just saying that these people are just nobodies. Trash. And I'm thankful to God that I didn't do anything to them. But if the day comes, so if I did something to them, these people are involved in this horrible thing. So for me, in every way, it makes more sense to do something. It's gonna happen. Like, let's just say if I do something and I lose my life, that's it. My life is over. But if I don't do it, I'm expecting some of the worst thing because they've been humiliating by reality. You understand the way they try to manipulate me? But you're going to hear this consistently done to others. You're going to hear the pedophilia type of torture. You're going to hear how they do this sexual stimulation. You've heard that many times. You're going to even hear a man, Robin Dawkins, say how they can even make you feel like you can do something to yourself. For me, I stopped that. It's just like, ooh, I can feel weird, feel like they were trying to manipulate my hand. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I always interrupt this. I was like, oh. And somebody like, oh, there is a grown woman that I've worked with. It's like a grown woman who's become a child in front of me. She's like, no, we mapped it. And she turns off the screen. I was like, Jesus, you're a child. These people are ranked so pedophilia-centric that they're doing so much child porn. It's ridiculous. Do you understand people who have problem with pedophilia to the point where the people running this program have so much child porn on their devices, and they tell me what they're doing with me is just making me react the way I would react when I was a child. No, I would not even react like that as a child. What you're trying to refer to is that moment of a child who did this dumb thing that never happened again. Yes, a child can be impulsive in a way that just don't think twice about, like throwing a rock or something like that. One time and break a glass. Do it once and that's it. Now every time he looks at a rock, he just want to go. They are so delusional. It's like, now we mapped it. It's like, no, you are manipulating me to experience this. You are manipulating my hand to try to grab myself. You are making me have sexual arousals. They can control that. There's nothing I can do about that. They can get you to have the nasty stimulations. You're going to hear that. It's part of what this technology can do. As target individuals, we are test subjects. And the goal is to break us down and break a self-image. They want us to identify with these manipulations and let them believe and let them live that fantasy where, oh, they're just avenging group of femme fatale. For me, the most disgusting is the fact there's a lot of females involved in there. I'm not even going to call them women like this woman. Trying to use their gender as this makes it okay. That when it comes from a female, it's fierce. And I can hear the perps that are male not saying anything via V2K. To let this fantasy, this psyop, to be like fully there. Delusional trash. As if your gender changed the fact that you can be a foul human being? What? This woman literally calls out, there's a lot of females involved in that. You're gonna hear that. I'm just thankful that God, thank you God, I didn't just do this thing. I didn't involve myself. It's easy to be involved in this. It takes weakness to involve them, and everybody can find that weakness. Everybody can be that weak. I'm just thankful I never had to do this. Now they tell me, they're going to rape you, they're going to do, sell your children. Sell your children, implant, you know what they say? They're going to implant child porn too. These entities will problem with child porn. And they're like, no, you're severely even suffocating children. And they try to and talk about me as a kid. I was like, oh, no, that's abuse. What you talk about a dumb moment of a child. Let me repeat, a dumb, impulsive moment of a child, which they even exaggerate. Having to make it worse than what it actually happened. Well, you're going to hear what they do to babies. Well, you hear the way they suffocate even children and sexually torturing them. And then try to minimize that. But no, it's abuse. Like, what is it what you do to kids? Oh, don't worry. When I see this low life, I see them truly for all of it. And they try to dumb them. Say, no, what you experienced that we mind. We're just like, you're a retard. You guys are just a bunch of pedophiles that do the pedophilia type of torture. And try to let you live your fantasy that what we're doing, right? We're rewiring your brain to be the brain of a child. Are you making me retarded? Is that what you're saying? Because an adult man or an adult woman who has the brain of a child means that they're mentally handicapped. Listen to all this.
Last week. From New York Times, I'm Michael Barbaro. This is The Daily. Today, the mass shooting that occurred in Maine last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
Army reservist, and the documents show that these warnings concerned his deteriorating mental health, rising paranoia and anger, and they came from pretty much every part of his life. But as we now know, none of those warnings prevented this mass shooting.
Well, Nick, where should we start in the story of those warnings? You mentioned that they go back many months.
I mean, the first time when the local police are really made aware that this guy is a concern is about 5 months ago in May, when his ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. They also note he has collected about 10 to 15 guns that he kept at a relative's house and brought them back to his. So they're going to the police and saying that he has access to a large number of firearms. I mean, they're all hanging out together at a motel, training exercise, and Card travels with his reserve unit to West Point, New York for an annual training exercise, and there's a very concerning incident that takes place They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly. He shoves one at one point, and everyone is just freaked.
So the father of this little girl that you see, this very adorable little girl, died because of this man who ended up killing 18 people. As you can hear, there's testimonials of him hearing voices and then thinking that this voice is also calling him a pedophile. And this is not the first mass shooting that somebody thought that way, or the other mass shooting that's very obvious a target individual. This individual actually knew about target individuals and knew what that meant. And so in this specific testimonial and in this specific story of mass shooting, you're going to hear this man. And this guy literally wrote a letter before killing and saying the reason why I did what I did, which is killing 12 people, is because of this technology that influence and control me in these ways, or influences and control my mind. Listen to that.
Why? Was a mentally unstable individual. This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it, he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and my ELF weapon. Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters. Diane, they never had a chance, and still no answers as to why so many red flags were missed.
As you say, so many red flags. Thank you, Pierre.
Once again, very, very obvious that this man was the target individual who ended up killing. And you keep hearing these things where this is so obvious, like, why did this happen? It's because just like this mass shooting that happened in October of 2023, just like this mass shooting you just heard, they're all target individual who ended up losing their mind and killing, which is the reason why this little girl does not have a father. And this is why today they are manipulating me in these ways. When I saw this picture, where they gave me this like weird feeling of try to grab myself and try to and give me stimulations, which they're like, no, what we're doing is like we're making you feel something that you felt when you were a kid, that we're mapping, and we're making you re-experience something you experienced when you were a child. In so many levels, that sounds retarded, because literally a man or a woman or an adult person who starts thinking the way they thought, or they are thinking like children, makes them mentally handicapped. What would you call somebody who think like a child when they are adults? We call that instead of retardation. And that's to them is like, no, we mapped it. That's proof. It's not even the truth. The thing is, they can make you react these ways. They can make you have sexual stimulations, and then make you. But by the way, they've been also manipulating my memories in my childhood. So today, when they do these things, it's like we matched it. We matched it with the thing that you experienced when you were a kid. They even went as far as make me think that, no, matter of fact, it's not even when you were in 8th grade. It's when you were in 7th grade, when you just turned 13. Remember, you felt like that. Changing this reaction and feeling. I remember when I was like 13 years old, just turned, maybe two months after turning 13. I remember I lived in this family's place, And there was this little girl, who was like 3-year-old. She came and she wanted to bother me and whatever, because she wanted to be on the computer. And I looked at her and said, "Oh, you're so cute." And you know that feeling when you see some very cute like babies, like, oh, and I kissed her on the cheek. But they're changing the feeling that I had of like this like adorable like to something sexual, giving me like a sexual stimulation. And you know, in your childhood, my memory is already gone. So they try to like change it and morph it into something sexual, when in reality it was just more of like just like this adorable state of like when you see something so adorable, it's like, oh, change it into that, give me sexual stimulations. And the thing is, they're not mixing things around, because they are taking things from when I'm even younger than that. Talking about me when I was like humping on couches when I'm like in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and just mix thinking or. And it's like, you understand that you even manipulate my childhood memories. But can you understand that making a man or woman who's an adult think that they experienced that as a child, and saying that what we're doing, we're making you think the way you thought when you were a kid. We mapped it to you as a child. Is on its own shows the level of retardation that these people have to be on for you to be on. But the truth is, they do this pedophilia type of torture. I will always bring back reality. They have been consistently, and I use the word consistently a lot. They've been consistently utilizing pedophilia type of tormenting to disturb you. And because of that consistency of what they've done, now they're trying to be like, no, you know what? It's not consistent because you felt like that when you were a kid. What? And so, for me, you know, the validation I have and how stupid they have to make themselves be is going to cause me more torture than probably I would have experienced. Because today I'm looking at grown men and women who have to stoop to a level of retardation to counter what you're going to hear. So I want to start off with the abuses they apply onto children, actually. Before I bring up the psychological manipulations, I just want to be clear about the horrible things they do to kids. Obviously, this program is for a research development. Some of the test subjects have actually been children. Now, listen to this woman. This is a woman who came to the bioethics in 2011, and she testified about what she went through. Not only her, but her young child are used as a test subject. This woman is called, her name is Catherine Nestor. I bring her up because I just want to make sure that to any target individual, you know, these people talking to you, regardless of what they try to bring up and manipulate and change reality, the reality is always there. Their job right now is to counter reality. Now with me, what you're going to hear is the reason why I expect the worst. Because they wanted to present themselves as some kind of child protectors, that they are avenging for the stupid thing I did as a kid. Well, you can hear that there's obviously patterns of them not only doing the pedophilia type of torture, but actually torturing children. And I'm going to bring it's just humiliating to a level where I understand torture I'm going to experience. It is so bad. Because this level of validation I have are just basically magical at this point. Listen to what they do to children, and listen to this woman who's going through what I'm going through, but with her young child.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
Thanks. My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan. And please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
So you hear that she describes what's happening to her and a young child, which consists of torture. But the torture is for the purpose of obviously improving this technology. In every ways they wanted to present themselves, they've been humiliated by reality. So they're going to hope that the torture of another level is going to try to counter that. As they're saying that they're trying to bring up this retardation of logic, which I don't mind bringing up reality, because what it does is it's making these people stooping to a level that they will never come back from. Now listen to what else they've done. This is another testimony of a woman called Mariana. Mariana is a testimony that bring up a lot because her testimonies are very detail oriented. As you hear, Catherine Nestor didn't have time to go through all what exactly happens to her and her young child. She just mentioned there's 4-page and it consists of physical and psychological torture. Now listen to some of the torture this woman experienced seeing on the young children that she's teaching. Please listen to that.
I'm currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me.
So you hear that even sexual torture is applied onto children. Some of the things these kids went through, I've gone through it. The sexual torture of harming my testicles and things like they've done that. Like the 3-year-old. The suffocation, I've experienced that. So these are the people who literally abuses children using this technology, who want you to ignore that, accept the version of false reality they've create this psyop that some people involved in the program that would do that to children are now protecting and avenging for what you've done as a child with the exaggeration version they've created, because you hear what they do to children. The reason why they are able to do that to you, as in this case to me, is because they're involved in a program that does these things to children. These people truly have deluded themselves to try to make me think that I should forget about these horrible testimonials of children being tortured. The abuses that I clearly heard these women talking about. Block that out. Think of this impulsive moment of a child. It's exaggerated, and to the point where they are trying to make me think that this reaction they make me experience today is them making me think the way I thought when I was a child, which is falsified. And by the way, when I say impulsive moment, I mean it's literally a moment, an action of a child who did it once. Obviously, if something that I wanted to do again as a child, I would have done it again. It didn't happen because it was just this impulsive moment of a child who wasn't thinking twice, who wasn't thinking who was just a child. And even after that, never happened again, because that shows the impulsiveness, the moments. Just like I said, these people now are like, oh, impulsive. So now when they make me have the stimulation, it's like this, that's the impulsion that you had. No, I didn't. The reason that this happened only once, it shows that it's just a moment of a child. That moment was impulsive. I was not getting this impulsively. But they try to find ways. Now we mapped it. You see, it felt like that. Because today, it's so nasty. To counter, for example, this baby. To counter the fact that this poor little girl doesn't know yet, but her father died because these trash are pushing people to lose their mind. And this man who lost his mind killed a bunch of people, including his father. To block that out, when I look at this kid, they force me to get these reactions. But before I get to the manipulations that are clear, listen to the other testimonials of what they've done to children. After that, you'll hear how they have done these nasty manipulations, which now they're like, no, we're just mapping to you as a child. No. That's not how I reacted to children when I saw children when I was a child. That's what you're making me experience today. And then go into my memory to create this match, making me think that's how I felt when I was a child. And still, if within this logic, this shows how illogical they want me to be. Basically tell me, oh, so you're making me think like a child? I believe they used to call that being mentally retarded. If that's the case. These people are delusional. But listen to what they do to children, like I said.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. From this syndrome. With learner's syndrome. Children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with learner's syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that learner's syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
I didn't want to go through all of these testimonials of the symptoms and what they do to these children, but you touched on some foulness in regard of like the torturing a 3-week-old baby. This is reality. They harm the most vulnerable people and abuse them. A 3-week-old baby was sick to the point where they thought she was going to die, but the truth is they were just using her as a test subject and doing things to her. And they do these things where they make you sick and then make you feel better. This is what these people do in this program. They truly harm children. They do horrible things to as young as 3-week-old. And they want me to somehow forget this part and think, no, you know what? We're making you pay for what you've done as a child. To even exaggerate that. When they're in a program where they abuse children in fashions that are just ridiculously disturbing and barbaric. There's no torture of mind that's going to change this reality. You know, they tell me how, once they frame me, which you understand, the way they're going to frame me, as always, there's going to be this pattern of frame, this pattern of manipulations that are very consistent. You frame me by saying that I did something to some child, that I raped a child, or implant child porn, and try to make that fierce. You should see how they sound. They try to make this sound so radical. As you clearly hear that in this program, they torture children. And the reason why I'm tortured, in whatever way I'm going to be tortured, and I am tortured currently, is because I'm in a program where they torture children. Do you hear even blindness? Which I'm expecting to have some kind of blindness. In this more detailed testimonial, you hear that they actually make this kid blind for, not permanently, but, mess with the vision. With me, they're like, no, for you, we're going to blind you permanently, you see? We're going to max it out. We're not going to be as mild as we go with the torture when you do that to women or children. It's like maxed it out. Do you understand how disturbing you are? You're involved in a program that tortures children. And you say, with me, we're going to torture you even more. These people are trash. They abuse children, that do horrible things to children, but want that to escape. No. Death comes to all of us. This bottom feeder is talking to me, involved in this program, participating in a program that does these horrible things, will die. I'm just thankful I didn't find a way to normalize what they do. I didn't get involved in a program where I participate in programs that do these things to even babies, and then try to make you think in these retarded ways when they manipulate you. I'm sorry I keep using the retardation terminology. I know it's offensive, but with the anger that you have, it's just so hard for me to just maintain my calm and call it something else. But now listen to the patterns of how they manipulate people. As they talk about how they just make me think like a child to make me accept these manipulations.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds, and vice versa.
What you just heard is a no-touch torture book that this person called Robert Duncan wrote. And what he did is he interviewed and basically asked thousands, or 1,000 at least, target individual, people who identify as target individual, and asked them a question. Ask him multiple questions in regard to what they experience. And you hear him saying that almost all target individual that he surveyed said that almost all of them have been experiencing this nastiness of implanting child porn in their mind. Now, this is already an indication of some kind of pattern. Patterns are when multiple people or multiple individual or things happen that shows a consistency of some sort that then indicate a pattern. Asking 1,000 individuals who are also all identified as target individuals, and almost all of them, majority out of 1,000, that's a good amount of survey, saying almost all of these 1,000 people he talked to are saying they're playing child porn in their brain. Now, you got to understand that that's already an indication. Those are adults, men and women, almost all of them saying the same thing. This is not a manipulations of memory of somebody's childhood. It's not a single moment of a child. It's a literally pattern indicating that after asking a lot of people, 1,000, which is a big number for creating some kind of trend, or not even creating, seeing a trend, almost all 1,000 of them said the same thing about child porn being forced to be viewed in their mind. What does it mean if they implant child porn in people's mind? It means they have these tactics that is pedophilia centric, right? Those are the same people who are telling me what they're doing to me is to make my brain be the brain of me when I was a child, and this response they make me have here is a response that I will experience if I was a child, and I should accept this, and I should forget this obvious pattern. And then they go into like even when I'm younger and say no, but I remember, and then start manipulating my memories of me when I'm even younger than then. Sometimes it goes as young as me in 8 years old. This is what this is their patterns. My manipulations of me even as young as 13 years old. Try to exaggerate what I did when I was 13, 14 years old, and go as young as me as third grade, 9 and 8 years old. Wow. When you ask 1,000 individuals who are identified as target individual, almost all of them are saying they're implanting child porn in their mind. Do you understand the level of validation you get? That maybe there is a thing going on here that is pedophilia-centric. Maybe these people are manipulating my brain and rewiring my brain to experience disturbing reactions toward children. You just heard the mass shooting saying that that's what they were calling him. The man responsible, as I'm saying that, responsible for the death of the father of this little girl. Saying that this is the things he was saying to him. Now, as I'm saying that, because I'm a target individual, and I'm a target individual who is dealing with not only the gangstalking, the things that you heard a target individual deal with, but also a lot of the technology that is synthetic telepathy and V2K. Hearing these bottom feeders who work for these governmental entities, because at the end of the day, this woman, Catherine Nestor, was right. We are test subjects. They're using these very, very, very sophisticated defense weapons onto us. They are telling me how they're going to torture me. And they used to do these things to disorient you, which you're going to hear, in some of the testimonials of Robert Dawkins, this man who wrote this book in 2015. In 2022, he was on a podcast, right, where he brought this person who also identifies as a target individual, and he explained that this is like they have these tactics that are very systematic. Almost all target individuals have the same kind of tactics of breaking them down to rebuild them. It's part of the way they depattern you. They want you to start identifying into somebody else and break you down so they can rebuild you in different ways and manipulate you. It's part of this study, and not even study, this research development of weapons, the development of weapons. They are trying to improve the manipulation of the mind. They are going through the tactics needed to continuously improve this technology that is manipulating the mind. And so what this is about how can they improve on that manipulations and this mind control, as one would say. And this man says that almost all of these target individuals he talked to, almost all of them, out of 1,000, just not a few numbers, not like a 10, or not even 100, 1,000. Almost all of them say the same thing about child porn being played in their mind. Now that's a strong pattern here. A real pattern, not this falsification of reality, memories, even talk about a childhood act, single act, that they try to create in other memories to try to manipulate this pattern, falsifying pattern versus real pattern. You hear this. Now it's obvious, these people dumb themselves down. They have to really make themselves a little bit more illogical than they are naturally, except for some of these children that are childlike minded, so they're just going to go accordingly. But the adults, the fathers, the mothers, the men and the women with intellect of adults can see that. Even some of the older kids can obviously see that. But for the kids, they can delude themselves. The adults, there's no way you can miss this. I mean, we're talking about people who are full-on parents. Parents of like kids that they say that they mapped me to. I'm like, do you imagine, like, can you imagine you're a mother or father of like a 13, 14-year-old, even a 9-year-old, and it's like, hey, we're making your brain mapped to you when you were a kid. You're going to look at that person, it's like, are you what? What do you mean? I have my child, he's like 13, 14. I talk to him every day or to her every day. I know what kids are. But these bottom fears won't be like, no, I should subscribe to it. And obviously, they do this peripheral type of torture and they try to agitate you. And they realize that I really stand on what I'm saying because it's obvious. And they still try to act out in front of me. And unfortunately for them, they get embarrassed. They still try to make noise campaign and retardations. But listen to that. It doesn't end there. Listen to this woman saying the same thing here.
Malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and videos.
So, you heard this woman literally say calling it pedophilia type of torture. Pedophilia type of torture. Casually calling it that. Casually saying that there's a torture that's pedophilia-centric. Call it pedophilia type of torture. I've been calling it pedophilia type of torture since that day. It shows that this is so norm in regard of their tactics, in regard of their torture, that she calls it the pedophilia type of torture. That means that she experienced these kind of things consistently. To the point where she calls it, I'm getting this pedophilia type of torture. Now, this level of validation is just getting stronger and stronger. Is that the pedophilia type of torture I'm experiencing? Or they are mapping my brain to be a brain of a child? Can't you see the clear pattern here? Not these falsified patterns where they even manipulate my memories in my childhood to try to mimic what I'm experiencing today. And to say, we mapped it, we matched it, you see? You experienced that. It's just super validating that we have people all around the world testifying and saying the exact same things that I'm saying to this level when they now call it pedophilia type of torture. And I should be listening to people who are interacting with me and communicating with me via V2K, voice to skull. Voice to skull is this technology that can project voices and you can hear the interaction of individual addressing you and talking to you remotely. It feels like you just go directly into your brain. And they say things to disorient you, to confuse you, because as I put these things together, I bring up the reality of what they do. That they manipulate the brain in disgusting ways. Matter of fact, this same woman here talks about it right now. Listen to what she calls as the pedophilia, the voice to skull. What she described voice to skull to be.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
It's the descriptions of voice to skull, right? That is the manipulation of thoughts, but also the hearing of like interaction from people. It sound like they're close to me. At least for me, it sounds like they're neighbors or people around you, which I believe some of them are. Some of them are not as close to me as they sound like, but I know some of them are. But you hear that. Do you see this level of validation? This is like validation that I don't think in life one can have. It's just too much. It's just too validating. But they still want me to somehow be disoriented enough to not see what they do. That they have these tactics, these systematic tactics that they apply onto target individual all around the world. You know, the same woman here brings up something she experienced. Her name is Mariana. That they do this thing where in your dream, they modulate dreams. It's so disgusting. Even in your sleep, it's a time for them to kind of create these manipulations to improve on the manipulation of your mind. This is truly a research and developing research and developing program in regard of this technology to continuously improve on the ability to manipulate the mind, of the control of the mind. This is what it truly is. They're not here trying to figure out who you are. They know you a long time ago. It's way over. Now, it's been since August 19, 2019. It's been manipulations and how they can manipulate me and how they can make this manipulation appear to be real. How to make this thing appear, and with time it gets worse and worse and worse and worse for me because I'm losing myself more and more, losing track of who I am, and for them more and more able to manipulate me and to make me experience things in different ways. It's disgusting, but that's the things they do. And even babies this young, it's just nasty. And for me, it's been like, no, what we do, we just are making you think the way you thought when you were a child. This woman talks about these dreams and manipulations they can have when your eyes are closed. They can create so much modulation of your dreams. It's ridiculous. It seems like, to me, what I was thinking, maybe these people, if they go mainstream, people could soon be able to purchase dreams and have the ability to have the dreams that they want. Because the dreams that we can be manipulated to experience are just surreal. But for us, most of the time, the dreams turn into something disturbing. Especially early on for me. Now it's not the same. Now it seems like they just want to work my brain. But earlier on, the dreams were more disturbing. Pedophilia-centric. It was so nasty. I remember waking up in sweat. I remember them the only thing that disturbed me the most was the pedophilia type of torture. They tried to do this thing with like the demonic kind of dreams. I was like, oh, this doesn't faze me. But when they did the pedophilia type of torture, the pedophilia type of dreams, I wake up sweating, breathing hard. And they're like, oh, we saw that. I was like, it's so nasty. They make me experience that, and then they try to make you feel guilty for the things they can manipulate you to experience. Listen to this.
See highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
As I said, this is continuously validating. They want me to forget this reality. And they really do consistently manipulate my brain and try to brainwash me. Forget about the consistent validation that you've been getting. Forget about that. We are mapping. And via V2K, I'm hearing these childlike individuals who very childlike try to agitate me into accepting this, which validates me even more. But it doesn't end there. Listen to the testimony of this person. Her name is Jackie. May she rest in peace. She's no longer with us. Her testimonial is very, very specific to what I'm just saying. She's going to say how they're trying to change her and how she hear people around her and not knowing exactly how they're doing it, but she just doesn't want this nastiness. Listen to her.
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like, it's disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
And another validation here. She goes on and say more things that they try to use, to be like, no, but you did this. It's like they have to exaggerate what I did as a child. And they try their best to do everything to counter what you just heard. It's literally what I just said. It's literally what I just said. How much validation can one have? How much? To stop me from seeing this obviousness that there is this pattern of ways they try to break you down. They are doing everything possible to counter that. It doesn't end here. Listen to this woman. She talks about how she's been manipulated to get these stimulations and what she calls it the program perversion, where they give her the sensations and they aim the sensations somewhere specific. Listen to that.
To see every night. Then I thought how that could happen, but then I told them that they would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realize that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words, in my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals.
Do the not the pedophilia type of torture, she called it program of perversion, which they aimed at first toward her dog when she was petting her dog, giving her sensations and some kind of stimulations. And then, as she calls it, the program perversion will start being aiming toward people, young people, children, and homosexual. I've gotten all of that. The young people, from not even just kids, but just young, just because they're young, as in like young adults. Just because they're young, not even like, it's not like a appealing looking young adult. It's just because they're young. That's it. Of course, they did the underage young people and children, like little children, like this baby, like little kids, from older kids to young adults. It's nasty. It's been that nastiness and obvious nasty manipulation. There's no stop. And they still want me to be like, oh, you know what? These people are not doing the pedophilia type of torture. They're not manipulating me in ways that make me react in a certain way towards kids or anybody who looks even young. From the babies like her to the older kids, to people who just very young adults. Just because the simple fact they're young adults. That's it. As long as you just look like you could be a child, that's all it takes. It's so nasty. And it's just disturbing. So, for me, it's just being strong and understanding this is the things they do with me. But they do these things and want me to ignore the reality of what they can do. A lot of it is also like actually sexual stimulations. So nasty. When I say that, they try to do these things to disorient me and to manipulate my reaction. But listen to this man talking. He's a target individual. He goes through like the list of things that target individuals experience, which include sexual arousals that are forced onto us via this technology. Like I say, this is a program that is researching and developing on ways to manipulate thoughts, minds, and even bodies. But listen to this.
Any part of the body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of turn off the...
So you hear this man saying that this technology can manipulate sexual arousals, coming from people who have shown a pattern that they do this pedophilia type of torture, that they do this nasty pedophilia reactions. So this man literally saying they can make you feel sexual arousals. You understand where they would aim those sexual arousals, how they will make you respond to children. It's disgusting. And in me even saying that, they try to make me think, remember you when you were a kid. When I'm here as a grown person, knowing that I'm being manipulated in certain ways that I will not react naturally. This is a forced reaction, just like this woman who says how she's forced to get this stimulation toward children. And for me, they're like, no, we mapped it because remember what you did as a kid, as a child. And this moment was an impulsive, singular moment that never happened again. When, if that was a pattern, would have happened again multiple times. But it didn't. Because it was a child who just had a singular moment of impulsiveness that is just that, a child doing something stupid. And never happened again. And it's not because I'm like, oh, this could never happen again. No, it's just a child never even, I didn't even think about it, anything. I never even thought about it again. There was not even a conscious moment of me like, oh, this is what I just did was wrong. I should never do that again. Never. Just never even thought of it ever again. Just to show how freaking impulsive and just singular it was. That it was just not even something that I would like, oh my gosh, I want to do this again. No. That is what a child is capable of doing. And child can one day grab a rock, throw a glass and break it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, never mind. That's it. And that's even like, that it's not even like, and never wanting to do this again. That's what a child is capable of doing. Now, if the kid always grab a rock and try to break glasses, that's when you start seeing patterns. But because this thing never happened again, and it could have happened multiple times, but it didn't, because this is not something that was consciously done in a way that I was just, I want to do this, or even thought about it after it was done. Now, I understand they know these things. Their job is to make me accept this pedophilia type of torture, and so they want me to think of my action as a child to make me believe that today my reactions should be subscribed to, because when I was a kid, this is what happened. And ignore these obvious manipulations, this obvious systematic manipulation that you're hearing target individuals saying over and over and over, to the point where they're even saying they're doing this program perversion and they even aim it toward children. A woman who's literally saying they're doing the pedophilia type of torture, making her smell baby powder, baby diapers, and do the pedophilia type of torture. And I should forget that. Listen to a man who say like they can manipulate your sexual arousals. And so today when they force me to have these disturbing sexual arousals, I should be like, oh no, they're not manipulating me, but they're making me be a child. It's just beyond validations. It doesn't even end there. Now, I've talked about this man called Robin Duncan. He's a man who's been around target individual for a while, wrote books about it, and been trying to bring awareness about it. And he's been on podcasts and things like to do his best to bring that issue. And in 2022, he goes on to this podcast and he talks about this. And he comes up and say, this is based on me talking to multiple target individual. This is the things that keep hearing. And he talks about the different tactics that target individuals go through and why they do that. And then they say, like, they have these tactics of trying to present this thing that's happening to you as anything else but this massive government doing this development of technology and utilizing human subjects as test subjects for the development of this technology that's meant to manipulate you. But listen to him talking.
Rationalize in private. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Can I talk? Here's how I do my studies, and I wanted to find the commonalities, but I have to throw away the ones I'm uncertain about that are true targets. You know, maybe there's natural schizophrenia, there's a whole bunch of chemical imbalances,
Right,
etc.
right.
These weapons can actually induce and mimic all those diseases and effects. But the conversations, the scripts they're called, are always the same. I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each individual, but they're scripts. And they're meant to confuse, the very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. If you've ever been to boot camp, you're a worm until you're part of the team. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it. So this gets into, so they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this. And so anyway, my interview with Len, he very well described a typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt, and they go right through the list, right? Just textbook. So whoever the handlers are on the other side of this synthetic telepathy, they're following the handbook perfectly.
So you hear this, that they have these ways of trying to depattern you, try to make you believe there's something else, try to change the perception of who you are, so they can rebuild you in a different fashion. So this pedophilia type of torture appears to be the reason why they utilize these tactics. There's nothing more disturbing than that you can't even be yourself, that everything is just turned into something disturbing. And the reason why they do that is for the patterning portion, to try to make you believe that you're somebody else, so they can make you the somebody else they want you to be. It's really nasty. And then you hear that they try to make you believe that this is anything but this massive government doing these things to you. And when I mean massive government, he obviously called out the CIA. The CIA are the initial, for sure, the architectures of this program. They are the one who've learned these tactics of breaking you down in this disgusting pedophilia type of tormenting tactics. They're the one who started the MK Ultra program. So they obviously have a lot of expertise when it comes to ways to depattern a human being and manipulate the human being these ways. But the technology is obviously coming from the Department of Defense. Voice to Skull is a weapon that comes from the Department of the Department of Defense. A lot of this technology that is hitting us is coming from the Department of Defense. The amount of financial support cannot come from only the CIA. CIA is not that budgeted to that level where they can splurge at that level. A lot of target individuals deal with perps, people who are just living around them and participate. This for sure financial incentives. So that means that the type of budget we're talking about is very massive. Like the Department of Defense. No other entity has the financial means to go with this program. Not even the CIA, but the CIA has the expertise. So you understand that the CIA is for sure involved and the Department of Defense is for sure involved. Matter of fact, go into DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, a very secretive agency. The technology that is applied onto us, you can see some of it on their website. Directed energy weaponry is not the CIA who comes out with this technology. It's DARPA. Voice to skull is coming from the Department of Defense, and so much other technology that even consists of manipulation of memories. This is what you see here in the Department of Defense working on, not the CIA. The CIA knows how to manipulate your memories. It can create false memories, but without using this very, 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 very advanced technology. So it's like an expertise that comes from the CIA, and there's the resources and technology that's coming from the Department of Defense. Now listen to those entities and the issues they have. Now it's sick enough to deal with this for the purpose of the improvement of this technology. But it is more disturbing to find out that these same entities, using test subjects that are human, would implement this technology onto us. First of all, let me bring up other target individuals who knows that obviously this technology used onto us are coming from the Department of Defense. Listen to this woman. Her name is Lisa Baker, and she's at the bioethics, talking to the committee in 2011, saying that I am a test subject that also this being utilized with this, they're utilizing this defense technology onto me, because the technology that they use on us is for sure deriving from there. It's definitely deriving from there. So you know the involvement of the Department of Defense. And even if you just like look at just who has the means, the technology, and the funds to do this, and the influences, there's no other more powerful entity in the world, the Department of Defense. There's no other, not even close. Now listen to this testimony from this woman saying what's happening to her.
Medical research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
So you hear this. Shows that, first of all, others, very vulnerable individuals are going through it too. But she calls out the fact that defense technology is being applied onto her. Meaning the Department of Defense weaponry is being used onto her. Now, the nastiest part about this is to know that the Department of Defense, who utilized this technology onto us, has had a disgusting, disturbing pattern that has been consistent. And this is not just one-time thing, consistently ranking the way they've been ranking for what they do. Now listen to what I'm talking about first, and then go into more details.
For links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flickr, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, the notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on. Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use the technology within that office space however you want. And you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially this bill is trying to do, again, two things. It's trying to limit that and crack down on the misuse of those computer systems, but it also is going after those individuals. One of the things that this bill attempts to do, and there's a Senate version of it put together by Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, but essentially what these two bills are trying to do is say, look, the Department of Defense does not have an adequate way of responding to this, of tracking down and investigating who as an individual is misusing these computers, who is sharing these pornographic images of.
So you hear this. It's disturbing. Department Defense Network being ranked as top 19th out of 2,900, 19th out of 2,900 in regard to the amount of child porn shared. So nasty. I don't know if you heard some background noise. They were doing things to me that just was disturbing me, and sometimes I just react this way because it's just disturbing thoughts implanted in my brain. But that's what they do, because they're trying to counter a reality that the entities running this program, involved in this program in a very major way, have problem with pedophilia. By the way, when I bring out this ranking didn't come from just any group of people. The ranking came from a child protective service. Actually, listen to this from CNN. This is the specific quote from CNN in regard of this ranking. Listen to this.
Pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services. The Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018.
To repeat this quote from CNN, according to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It's ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018. This is disgusting. And we're talking about not only military, but Pentagon, so other agencies within the Department of Defense. This is disgusting. And this is not just the Department of Defense. BuzzFeed in 2021, end of 21 to beginning 2022, released this article about this disturbing pattern seen from the CIA and other agencies that within the U.S. intelligence with pedophilia. Please listen to this.
6-year-old, he was simply fired. One employee purchased
Telepathy. They're following the handbook perfectly.
2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Ali, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number 1, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number 2, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting
behind those desks in the Pentagon and Langley? Which is a good question. But I'll bring that up because in so many ways you've been validated by reality. And with all this validation, they somehow want me to forget this. They want me to see them as protectors of women and children. I didn't even bring up what they do to women. It's just another level that's just ridiculous. But for me, like I said, they have this psyop of this people who are some fierce femme fatale, and they are avenging and they're protecting the community, and that this strong women and trashy low-life bottom feeders that work for these governmental entities with clear patterns. That's obvious. That's such a problem there. There's been consistency in regard of ranking in top tier level in regard of sharing child pornography. Sharing child pornography. So much so that these agencies are ranking them as 19th out of 2,900 network in regard of child porn sharing. Now, with me, they try to make me believe, now look at them. They use their gender, their facade, to make me believe that, no, we are different. We are this sensible, strong, radical, very feminist-based, progressive, that are protecting the community, and we're different. We're not. Look at us. We're mostly females, which I know is all a psyop. I know tomorrow it can be all guys. This is just the way they want you to believe. Like Robert Dawkins said, they try to make you believe that this is anything but a massive government doing this to you. But then the humiliation that women are saying, there's a lot of females involved with this. It's crazy. Listen to this testimony from this woman.
The face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, you should be shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the voices go, it's a bunch of females. And I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them, basically. They call me retarded bitch and all of this here, but I would.
So it's clear that there's a lot of females involved in this program, and just like this woman, I will not call them women. They use this gender facade, like as if like a woman would not do these horrible things. It's crazy. That our gender should make you believe that this is not the same program that's torturing women and children. They're delusional. But one thing I want to finish this up with is with me right now. Like I said, they try to give you a feeling of wanting to grab yourself. Like they have the ability to manipulate you. For me right now, right before I was listening to this testimony of this woman talking about a bunch of female being, torturers too, involved in this. They, with my pinky, made me feel like I need to like, and it's because unfortunately I'm salivating a lot because they're doing things to my organs to cause a lot of saliva to come out of me, and so they made me like just wanting to wipe my lower lip with my finger. And because they have rewired this in this disturbing ways, this is why they do this. They can control you to do certain things, and unless if it's crazy, something like just disturbing, small thing like just using my finger to wipe my lip is not something usually annoying or disturbing, but because they have rewired it in these disgusting ways, to me now it turns into something that turned into something sexual and sexual toward children, which means it's pedophilia centric. Right? But they have this ability to make you want to do things. Listen to this testimony.
Puppet mode. I've heard TIs that have been made to slap themselves. Literally it's puppet. They created cerebral cortex cloning, and initially I think the CIA term was REHIC, remote hypnotic intracerebral control. And it's like a hypnosis. It has a little influence over you, but it should not have enough that you're going to harm yourself or harm anybody else's, the way hypnosis works. And that's kind of how...
So this is what I'm talking about. We are manipulated in these ways. The key of this development of a program is to perfectly manipulate a human being and keep improving these manipulations. Unfortunately, I realized that I am a test subject like many others. And so I'm going to go through the same torment and torture so many others have. And unfortunately for this little girl, she'll never have her father because he was killed by a target individual who lost his mind and killed 18 people. And now to counter that, they're making me have these disturbing reactions and try to make me subscribe and make me believe that when I was a child, this is what I experienced. It's disgusting, but that's what they do. So to all my target individual, please stay strong. Please don't identify with this manipulation. That's exactly what they do. This is how they torment us. This is what they want us to subscribe to. I will never identify. I will never see myself the way they want me to see myself. Now, They want me to accept these manipulations, and I will not identify to this. So to all my target individuals, stay strong. Know that justice will be done for all these horrible things they've done to us. And see that as just the way they want to break us down.